Hello and welcome once again to Ignite Your Impact. My name is Jen Rhodes. I am seated in a comfy chair that I can touch the ground in next to my husband, Matt.
Yeah, that's a little inside joke. I was sitting in her chair and raised it.
Yeah,
she jumped into it and about fell out. So
I know. It was like a handicapped bathroom stall. My feet were just dangling. I need to have my feet firmly planted so that we can attack this subject.
Yes.
I like
I'm
this
back.
subject.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yes.
Last week I was gone.
Oh, welcome back,
yes.
by the way.
Thank you. Just want to acknowledge that. You did great last week without me, but I was in Texas on business and back and ready to go on this episode. I think this is, I'm excited for this one. This is going to be a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so too.
So you want to jump in?
I wish you would.
Am I starting it?
Okay, go for it.
So everyone wants a blueprint before they take a leap. I think that can resonate with a lot of people. But here's the truth. I didn't learn what I needed to know until I took action. Not in my fitness, not in my nutrition, not in any of my businesses that I built. We grew in all of those areas, and even more, but in those areas, we grew in all those areas not because we had it all figured out, but because we didn't. I hope everyone caught what I just said. We grew in those areas not because we had it figured out, but we grew because we did not have it figured out. And if you're stuck waiting until you're ready, then this episode is a sign to start moving anyways, even if you're not ready. And another truth is most people wait to start because they're scared to be bad.
Love that. I have an analogy that I use that I'll get to in a minute. But I want to ask you this. Have you ever waited to start something because you thought, I just need to learn a little more first? I know I have.
Yep.
Yeah, right? We all have, right? Here's what I realized. You don't get clarity first. You get courage first. Clarity comes later through action. And the analogy that I use, and I used it earlier this week with a gentleman. I want to get a little bit more fit before I hire a personal trainer. And I said, that's like wanting to memorize the Bible before you become a better Christian. To me, it does not make sense. Yeah. And then he goes, the minute you put it like that, that makes sense. Let's go. It's that you want to be perfect before you start to practice. The practice is what creates the perfection. You don't get clarity first. You get courage first. Clarity comes later through action. Now, I remember that first day. I want to take you guys way back, way before Snap Fitness Jen. That initial transformation. I was 206 pounds. And if you know me, you know that I am a little baby nugget, child size. 206 is a lot on my body. Walking into Gold's Gym. Frankly, being pushed into Gold's Gym. After that initial consultation with that big, beefy gorilla of a salesperson, I was terrified. I was feeling huge. I was feeling unhealthy. And I was feeling overwhelmed. I had no idea where to start. So I did not take my own advice. I did not ask for help. I did not ask for a blueprint. I looked for the easy button, that green button on the treadmill. But little did I know that intimidation, that gym intimidation, would lead me to mastery and lead me to my purpose. I went every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and eventually those faces began to smile. Hi, how are you? Hellos were said. Specifically, hola. I was like, oh. There was a group of powerlifters. We had a language barrier. But they were always so nice. They always said hello. They always said hello. And so from the treadmill, I started to watch. And as Matt and I kind of compared notes, he said, you really need to start lifting weights, Jen. I really think it would help you get fit fast. I really think it'll help you with what you're telling me you want. So I watched them and I began to get curious. I was curious to begin weightlifting. I knew that's where I would lose the most fat, but I was so intimidated to get big. But that key word though, curious. So I asked in the very little Spanish that I know, can you show me? And that's what sparked that amazing 9-month, 95 pounds lost transformation. You see, you can't master something that you never began.
That's a great story.
Thank you.
Not only because it hits home, but I think you made up a word too.
Transformations.
No, Gym intimidations. But no, that is a great story. I think there's so many people that can relate to that. Even if you're not, 95 pounds, trying to lose 95 pounds, just walking into a gym, walking into a foreign place like that can be intimidating if you're not where you want to be. And I think so many people's stories is just like yours in all areas of their life. Now, I'm not just talking about being in the gym, but you can relate it to that. The one exception, though, for a lot of people in this story, if there's something you haven't done, you haven't taken action on, the exception is so many people stop at the point of thinking they need to know more and they need to understand everything, and they never take that first step into the gym, into the business plan, into the meeting, whatever it is. And they just never take that first step, which is where all of the learning comes. Jen didn't study how to weightlift outside the gym. She made the first step and went inside. Your first step is supposed to be awkward. I'm sure it was awkward, but that's what the first step is supposed to be. But people are scared to be bad, like I said earlier. I equate this whole thing, just a simple way to break this down is it's like tying your shoe. The first time it's awkward. You're bad. You try it once and it just seems foreign. Then you get it done, but it doesn't look perfect. You guys can picture a shoe that's not tied perfectly. However,
just get it on. We got to go.
Yeah. Anyone with kids, we know what we're talking about. But you begin to learn. And today, you don't even think about it. You just tie your shoe and it looks perfect and it works. The problem, though, if you look around society today, most people have chosen the Velcro shoe. They've chosen the Velcro shoe in life. They chose to really not learn and grow because they were scared to look awkward. They were scared to look bad. They didn't want to take that first step, so they just put on the shoes with the Velcro that's easy to put on. And you've heard me talk about this in my real estate journey. I'll give you the punchline right now. I talked to a guy yesterday, and here's what I said. Man, I wish I would have started this 10 years ago. Wish I would have taken action 10 years ago. And everything I've ever achieved, I've always said that. Everything, even things that I've failed at, I wish I would have started earlier. I was afraid because I didn't know where to start, frankly. I thought I needed to know everything. However, when I started, and when I mean what I did was I went and hired a coach. I got into their system. I started learning from them. I started planning. I started doing the steps that they had. And that's how I started. It doesn't have to be hard to start. Go find someone who's doing it. But find
somebody that knows how to tie their shoes.
Yes. It's pretty simple. But just like in Jen's story about starting at the gym, a year later, my life's completely changed. In a year.
9
not
months.
Decades. A year. Ladies and gentlemen, are you hearing what I'm saying? Your life can completely change if you will lean into learning by taking that first step. You got to lean into discomfort.
I love that. Talk about discomfort, right? My first coaching client, I was so nervous. Do you remember that? I know I undercharged for what I poured into this person, right? My systems were messy. Holy heck. But what I learned from that client taught me more than 10x, more than any course I've ever bought. Doing the reps in real life builds wisdom that no textbook or YouTube video ever will. Now, this is where you connect your two worlds. And I say this to clients all the time. You don't get stronger by reading about squats. You get stronger by doing them. Awkward form, shaky reps, and all. Now connect it to business. It's the same with launching a product, starting a podcast, writing that first ebook. Oh my God, I'm there, right? I don't know where to start and I'm so scared. Matt's like, just start. I'm like, you're right. Shit, here we go. You don't get good before you start. It's going to suck. It's okay. Start. You get good because you start.
Yeah, I remember my first call with a potential investor, just like yours with your first client. It was terrible. I mean, I was trying to, spit out all these facts and figures, and I just kept kind of tripping over my own words. And I'm like, what am I even saying? I'm in my head thinking, what the hell am I even saying? And I put so much pressure on myself to be perfect on that first call. When I hung up, what's crazy is the motherfucker, I can't believe it actually went really, he actually trusted me and invested, but I did a terrible job. But when I hung up, I was like, well, that did not go so well. That did not go well. Thank God that this guy trusts me and knows me. But I didn't do so well. My second thought was, what can I learn from that? Because I'm going to have a lot more of these calls. And now it's completely different. Now it's a conversation. I'm not worried about everything. I put zero pressure on myself, which translates to zero pressure on that other person, which makes it less awkward on me, less awkward on them. However, I would have learned that if I wouldn't have said screw it and just did that first call. Now, I did it with someone that I knew very, very well that it was a safe place. And maybe that's where people need to start. Where's a safe place for you to start?
I like that. That's a great lead into what I wanted to talk about next.
Okay.
You don't eat 1 cup of broccoli and lose 30 pounds. You don't eat 1 chicken breast and lose 30 pounds, right? You don't send 1 DM and build a 6-figure business. Well, I texted 1 person. Cool. Results are a byproduct of consistency, not intensity.
Yeah, I remember when I started tracking my meals 4 or 5 years ago, and I tried to be perfect. And, one day that I was off a little bit or my numbers didn't hit, I didn't hit my protein, or I went over on this, I thought I ruined my entire plan. The entire week was gone. And, thank God I had you and I had my coach.
It took some convincing.
Yeah, it did. I try and be perfect at things. And I think
not anymore.
You can't be perfect, but
no.
yeah,
80-20.
Yeah. And I remember that. And you guys taking me and showing me action and consistency is what is perfect. Yeah. The perfect side is action and consistency, not the actual doing.
Yeah. Every meal was data.
Yeah.
And unless you're eating, let's get back to the science, please. If you do this, we talked about this last week, unless you're eating over 3,500 calories over your caloric intake a day, you're not going to get fat. Moving on. Every meal was data. Just like every one of your real estate deals or sales calls is data. You want faster results? Start failing faster. Start booking more calls. Right? You want to learn? Load that calendar up. Everyone wants certainty before they commit. But that's not how growth works. It's not. In every area of life, the big lessons came after the leap. You're going to learn after you jump. You're going to figure out how to fly, or you're going to flop and you're going to try again. When I started coaching, I learned how to translate our transformation to others. Then I started selling high-ticket transformations. I learned that high-level producers will pay to compress time.
People don't pay for information, they pay for the package.
Yes.
Yeah, same thing. When I started investing in properties, I started learning how to mitigate risk. It wasn't the other way around.
Reward.
Yeah, and reward. When I started posting on social media, I learned how to build trust. I hope we are pounding the shit out of this point.
Good.
I mean, we are really pounding it that you got to take action. You learn everything after that. But here's another way to think about this. I think James Clear says that
Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, you need to read it.
Yeah. Every action is a vote for the person you want to become. You want to be fit? every workout is a vote. It's just a vote. You want to be a leader? Every time you show up, you share value, or you have a tough conversation, you're voting.
Love. I remember when my identity shifted. And this was a pretty powerful one for me, from just being a gym owner to being a fitness leader, to being a disruptor in the fitness industry. I started having business owners reach out in multiple franchise systems. Can you show me? Do you remember that question? Can you show me? And I remember that. Remember that key phrase. And I've helped several gym owners streamline their systems and create their own powerhouse personal training departments. You want a new life? Start voting for it daily.
Yeah, so let's try and tie this up a little bit. And I'm if you're on YouTube, I'm speaking right to you. I'm looking right in your eyes right now if you're watching this on YouTube. And first, I know you. I know the type of people that listen to us and the type of people who don't listen to us. But I know what you've been doing. You've been writing these things down. You've been thinking about these things, all these goals that you want to do. You've been putting them on paper. And you've been saying year after year, I'm going to do this. You've written them down, but you've stopped. You never started. They're just dreams on a piece of paper up in your head. But they don't have to stay there. You don't have to die with those dreams in your head. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. 3 things. You're not supposed to know it all before you start. The only way you find your voice, your strength, your confidence is through movement. Awkward, bad movement. You got to start scared. Start small. Start messy, but just start. Because everything that I've built, everything that Jen has built, our bodies, our businesses, our relationships, our freedom, it all came after we stopped waiting and started doing.
I want to know, what's one thing you've been waiting on? What are you sleeping on because you don't think you're ready? I want you to message us. Tag us in your story. And I want you to write it down and declare it. I'm done waiting. I'm taking action. Let's go get it. Guys, I hope today hit. I definitely hope you share this with someone that you think will gain value from it. Matt, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
If you need to remember what to do, look at my hat. Start thinking bigger. Start thinking bigger and start taking steps.
You could also use my favorite quote, shut up and jump.
Love it. Let's wrap there.
All right, guys. We'll talk next time.